Good morning, Internet! My name is Dig-Daeg Studios, and in today's video, I'd like to go over a meta that I haven't really had an opportunity to discuss on the channel yet. That meta is, of course, the Disney Extended Universe. The Disney Extended Universe, or Disney World as it's commonly called, has a diverse group of characters, none of which are created equally. In this video, I'd like to go over one of the most popular subsections in the game, the princesses. The princesses are a very diverse group, spanning several different classes and playstyles that the player can enjoy. That being said, the roster is vastly different when it comes to competitive viability. So let's go over the tier list to see who can really match up with the other, starting in F tier. In F tier, we have the near useless sleep princesses. These two princesses, Aurora and Snow White, are almost completely worthless from a combat standpoint. They have almost no attributes that make them viable for combat in the slightest. Their main ability, Magical Comatosis, is pretty much worthless from a combat standpoint. All it really does is heal whatever injuries they have, which, while it can be nice, unfortunately, it leads them into a state that players like to call damsel in distress, because in order to get out of that magical comatosis, they need a prince player to wake them up. Snow White is only slightly higher than Aurora because she has the benefit of being a below average summoner. She has control over woodland creatures and has influence over male characters, but that's really only because her beauty stat is so high. Other than that, both of them are pretty much useless and will never get any higher than the bottom of the barrel. Moving up to E tier, we have some almost useless character options in the princess subsection. These are, of course, Pocahontas and Belle. These two honestly have nothing going for them other than the fact that they're awake throughout all of gameplay. They do have some summoner capabilities, but it really isn't enough to make a difference in battle. All we have in D tier is the Norwegian princess, Anna. She is only slightly higher than everyone else because she actually has some melee and support viability. While not the best in either category, she by far isn't the worst, but because she isn't incredibly specialized in any particular skill set, she's not going to get much higher than D tier. In C tier, we start to see some actually viable options in the competitive meta. C tier starts off with two of the best princess summoners in the entire meta. The first is Jasmine. Jasmine has her magic carpet and her pet tiger Raja. These are above average summons as the magic carpet is great for mobility and the tiger is just very good. The second summoner is Cinderella, who actually has a very high summoner power and summoning limit. Cinderella can summon literal armies to do her bidding from nearby woodland animals. She can summon anything from birds to mice to dogs and even horses. But there is one major thing holding both of these characters back, and that is the fact that summoning is all they have. If their playstyles were a little more varied, they may be considered for a B or even an A tier, but at this moment in time, since their physical attributes amount to practically nothing, and if the opponent is able to knock out their summons, they're pretty much useless. The second duo in C tier is Ariel and Tiana, which both actually have some very interesting capabilities, where Ariel can touch water and turn into a mermaid, and Tiana can turn into a frog. Both of these can present some interesting strategies, with them performing above and beyond in aquatic environments, with Ariel performing very well in ocean environments, and Tiana performing incredibly well in the bayou. But both of these characters do suffer from being too specified. Yes, they are incredible in those specific biomes, but they're only incredible in those specific biomes. Anything outside of those biomes, and they don't really have the skill sets to be of much help to either their allies or to themselves. Needless to say, despite being two completely different classes, all of the characters in C tier have pretty much the exact same strengths and weaknesses when it comes to combat viability. Next, we have two supports that can really help out in team matchups. The first is Penelope, who has by far the highest evasion stat in the entire game. Thanks to her glitch ability, Penelope can dodge out of any attack and get herself out of any sticky situation. She also has great reflexes, which actually, with her glitch, creates impressive synergy when it comes to vehicles of the racing type. While she can't heal, she can offer a lot of combative support to her and her teammates. The second is Rapunzel, who is an absolutely incredible support. She can heal her teammates out of any injury, use her hair for both offensive and defensive capabilities, and paired with the frying pan, she has a pretty respectable melee stat. While all of these attributes make her seem like an easy A or maybe even S tier, unfortunately, she does suffer from one very specific problem. If her hair is cut by a blade or sharp attack, then it renders her just a slightly above average melee character. But if she has and can utilize her hair, she is an above average support who can handle her own in most situations. Now we've reached A tier, and we're starting to see some characters that have been pretty overused since their debut. The first in A tier is Mulan, who really excels at melee combat. While some of the princesses have put their stat spread into something flashy, Mulan has put hers into something simple yet very, very valuable. Melee is a very good stat, and to help back that up, Mulan actually does have a couple of ranged capabilities. They aren't the best, but they can be pretty useful, especially when paired with the rocket's ability to really mess with the environment. Mulan also has a very fun skill when it comes to horse combat, which makes her almost completely broken in cavalry battles. The second member of A tier is Merida, who is essentially the polar opposite to Mulan. While Mulan focuses on melee, Merida focuses on ranged attacks with a couple of melee capabilities. Merida's incredible pairing with the bow makes her a really tough threat to deal with. Add to that a fairly decent melee stat, and you've got yourself one very well-rounded fighter. The third and final member of A tier is Moana. Moana has a natural affinity with the water, and while it might at first glance seem similar to Ariel and Tiana's special ability, hers is far more versatile. She can control any source of water, which makes her fighting style akin to that of a waterbender. Additionally, she has a fairly decent melee stat and gets some great boosts when paired with the canoe paddle. Needless to say, all three princesses in A tier are golden, but they're nowhere near as broken and overpowered as the one princess in S tier. And that princess is Elsa. As soon as she was introduced to the meta, she became an immediate S tier, and any change to her character just made her more and more broken. While her physical stats aren't anything too special, her cryokinesis is one of the single best magical abilities in the entire game. Those powers have absolutely no drawbacks, and so players both new and old will just stand in the back spamming Blizzard until everybody's health is low and then just walk in and icicle them all to death. She can go up against every single princess on this list and she would still come out on top, no matter the biome. I know that I said that there are certain biomes that fare well for other princesses more than others, but it just doesn't matter when the water is always frozen. Elsa has been an S tier for far too long and needs to be nerfed. Please, with everything that you hold dear, please nerf Elsa. Well, thank you all for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to comment below on which meta I should cover next, and feel free to subscribe if you haven't. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Until next time.